All right, is everyone ready to get started on HPD and DOBs then? All right, great. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Becky Beaver. I'm here with the Roosevelt Island Operating Corporation, as you all know. Thank you so much for coming to our third CAG. And we'll just go into a little bit of our ground rules as we talk about what we're going to do here today. Click through. All right, so we're going to do this quick introduction that we're doing right now. Then we're going to go into the construction port with a current status and look ahead from HPD, and then we'll open up the floor to Q&A. And for everyone on the Q&A portion, if you have a question, raise your hand and I will unmute you to ask that question. We're going to also have each organization ask one question at a time, and then if there's time, we'll come back. I just want to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to ask a question today that wants to, and then when we have time, we'll circle back to everyone else. All right. And then just a reminder for our ground rules for the CAG. Our goals are to maintain communication with our agency partners to track progress on the demolition activities, collaborate with Roosevelt Island partners and stakeholders to troubleshoot our community issues due to the demolition work. And this serves as a monthly information session, as always, to share progress and milestones until the demolition is complete. And the meetings are recorded for community sharing after this as well. And a reminder on meeting contact, this is a safe space to discuss demolition work and address your concerns in a respectful manner. One representative is allowed per organization. We'll be enforcing that moving forward just to make sure that we have a fair and even playing field for everyone involved. We also ask that everyone speaks respectfully and allows others to speak without interruption. I know that there's some passionate topics within this matter, but we have to be respectful of one another. And if you have other questions, I don't believe we had a ton submitted today for this specific CAG, but please pre-submit your questions at least 2 business days prior to the meeting so we can move the agenda along. And that way HPD and DOB have time to review questions. And last but not least, this is not a forum to discuss halting a demolition work or repurposing of the building. And I will turn it over to Mr. Santiago to take it away.
Morning, everyone. It's nice to see you all again. I am going to, I think I'm going to share my screen to show an 8-week look ahead on the work. We provided, I believe, a copy of this to REAC and the CAG for sharing out in general. I'm not sure if that's been done yet, but I'm going to share my screen if I can. It doesn't look like actually my share button is...
Let me see if I can give you access. I'm not
highlighting.
sure if I can. One second. Let me
Okay.
come down here and try.
I can just start to talk there. It looks like
there we go.
I can.
Okay, great.
If you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and I'll make it a little bigger so we can all follow along. So we are moving ahead. Things are, I think, coming to start on the dirt. So I'm not going to recap everything, but I'll give like a little short when I start each. I'm going to break basically my conversation into 3 different parts of the work. One is, if you'll recall, with the oil tanks removal, there was some additional work that needed to be done related to the dirt that came out of the holes with the oil tanks. So that's one line of work. The second line of work is the smokestacks, and then the third is the buildings themselves, the building itself. So to start with, our vendor will start with the community air monitoring on Friday related to the removal of the soil. That work is going to be done by a company called Restoration and Conservation Advisement. They will take preliminary samples, baseline samples on Friday in anticipation that work is starting next week on this portion of the work. So what will happen first is new dirt will be brought in, clean fill will be brought in to fill the holes left by the removal of the oil tanks. That work is listed on this chart as this exposure to backfill, this red line, and that is expected to take about 2 weeks worth of time. Once that work is completed, and here's the camp, sorry, this is the bottom line is showing you when we expect to continue to do that community air monitoring. The red line is when the backfill will happen, and then the yellow is when the contaminated soil that is there will be removed. So that's expected to start September 7th, and again, take about 2 weeks to complete. There will be trucks in and off the island during this portion. I believe the contractor statewide is meeting later today with REAC to have more conversation about that, make sure that we are working together to manage that work. I know that that has been a particular concern of the community. So they will work out more details and more communication around how that will happen. That is the dirt removal. And once that's done, we expect to be able to then really start working on the smokestacks. So that work will lead right into working to support the smokestack opening at the base of the smokestack where the debris will be removed from. Again, the work on the smokestack is expected to be hand demolition, pushing the bricks and whatnot through the smokestack to the base of the smokestack for removal. That's how that's going to work. So that opening and that support needs to be done at the base of the smokestack, and that is expected to take a couple of weeks, starting towards the end of September. So you'll see on the chart that is this smokestack opening support gray line, 9/21 through 10/2. Once that work is completed, the pipe scaffolding for the stacks, which will go up around the stacks, is expected to start. And that will start in early October. That work will continue beyond this 8-week period. And when this 8-week period that we're showing you, and when we provide the next update, that will extend out into an additional period of time. In general, the smokestack demolition work is not expected to start until the end of October or the beginning of November. Again, as these other things happen and we get more surety that everything is being done in the projected estimated timeline, we can be more specific about when that work will start, right? There are, as always, things that could come up, weather being a good example of things that might slow down work, or work might be done more quickly than anticipated. So these dates are, of course, subject to change. On the building itself, asbestos work continues, asbestos abatement, you'll see that in the pink, continues through this period and beyond. That any demolition work on the building is expected to be done after the smokestacks are completed. So that is still a ways off for statewide to start actually doing any demolition on the building. So that is what's reflected on this chart. So we can take any questions about what's going to happen here, what's the next expected steps. If there's anything else in general that you have questions on in terms of line items on the chart, happy to hear about any questions or concerns about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner. Did you want to open the floor to questions on that note?
I just wanted to make sure, Grace, Rosa, I'm sorry, Grace,
No,
Rachel,
okay.
you don't have anything else to add. Okay, great.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna let people ask questions in order that I see hands. First hand I see is Frank. Frank, I'm about to unmute you 1 second. All right, Frank, you should be able to unmute yourself. Let me try one more time. Hold on.
Sorry.
Okay, good.
every experience with teams and every session is a learning experience. Enough said. Okay. Thank you, Anne Marie, for your presentation. That was helpful. And your presentation highlighted some of my concerns. In the gray area, well, the gray line, excuse me. Um, on that, you had said that we have the camp, which seems to end right around the first couple days. The problem that I have with that is that really anything that's going on with that smokestack, as you're starting to take it apart,
Mhm.
you take stuff that's embedded and now it becomes friable. Okay, so in other words, air potentially airborne, and that's
Yes.
actually some of the pollutants that we're concerned about and stuff that camp would cover. Could you
Yes.
please make sure that the camp overlaps that,
Yes.
and you'll hear me complain about this, long term, and it's just we've had experience with this, and considering that you're going to have baselines for several
Yes.
phases of the construction work here, it'll allow us to figure out right away, hey, is this a problem that's occurring from something we've
Yes.
done versus, we will have a much more data to make this better
Yes.
decision making rather than everyone, we just started measuring this and it's unclear what the baseline is. I
Yeah,
hope that
thank
makes
you.
sense.
Thank you so much, Frank, for raising that. And I apologize for the chart actually. So this chart we're getting from statewide, so it is covering what they are providing. We, HPD, will be contracting for camp for the remainder of the project. So
Okay.
even though it indicates here they're really responsible for providing the camp during the soil situation, but for the actual demolition, HPD will be contracting for camp as well. So I appreciate you raising that. We can
Yeah.
add that to the chart going forward.
Okay. Thank you. Like I said, the Residents Association has had a lot of experience, and and thank you for listening to this over several meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Frank. I'm going to give the floor to Kaylin. 1 second. I'm going to unmute you. The toggle button keeps sliding away from me. 1 second. All right, there we go. Kaylin, you should be able to speak. Oh, try to unmute yourself again, Kaylin.
Yeah. Good
we
morning,
go.
everyone.
Good
Hope you
morning.
can hear me now. Thank you for the presentation. I have several questions related to this chart that we have on the screen. But before that, very briefly, a statistic that I want to share with everyone. Since June 12th, when this CAG meeting started, we sent 8 different submissions of questions, 65 questions in total. We got answered on 2 questions. And my question is, are we going to receive answers of the rest of the questions, and who is going to answer them? So going back to the chart, several questions here. The first one, there is a line that mentions prepare documents for DOB filing. What kind of documents have to be filed? Can we get a detailed list of the documents? And when do you expect this to be filed? When do you expect them to be approved? Next question, it's about the camp air quality. You mentioned that HPD is going to contract a separate camp. When this camp will start and how long it's going to be, what portion of this work that's shown here is going to be covered. Because again, the chimneys are not covered at all. From what we can see, there is only a small overlap between the chimney demolition. So you just mentioned during the building demolition, what about the chimneys? Is there going to be camp? And also, what kind of contaminants this camp is going to measure? And then going to the biggest issue, the most urgent that I see, it's the smokestack work. You mentioned that in week 6, you're going to start preparing and opening the chimneys. What's the status of the Department of Building stop work order related to this chimney work? Is it still active? When do you expect to be lifted? What was the exact reason for the stop work order? And the most important question, during the last CAG meeting, we discussed the fact that HPD admitted that you guys don't have any experience with chimney demolition, and the engineers that you work with don't have experience with chimney demolition. You promised to get back to us. We never received any updates on the status of this experience. As far as we know, before any demolition of a smokestack starts, it's a mandatory to have Class 2 inspection by certified company. What that means is someone needs to go up in the stack, outside, make a full investigation, full report. Based on this, needs to be decided, are there any repairs needed? If necessary, the repairs needs to be done, and only after that, demolition can start. Because do we know if these smokestacks are not going to collapse during the process of demolition? Do we know what's the actual condition of the smokestacks?
Okay, got a lot of questions there. I'm going to
Oh,
try to answer.
65.
I'm gonna
65
try to
are not
answer
more.
them as best I can, and then I may ask the Department of Buildings also to provide some information. So on the questions that were submitted, I don't recall what the list is. What I would ask is, and again, we're here talking about the work that's coming and how this is going. I'm not sure if all of the questions were relevant to that. I would ask that you resubmit the questions that are relevant to the work that's happening back to us, and we will do our best to answer those questions. On the camp related to the smokestacks will start in advance of any work happening on the smokestacks, and will continue through the end of the project, right through the end of the demolition of the building. So again, I will add, we will try and add that to the next timeline that we provide to be clear that that's going to happen. We extend the camp. The type of contaminants, we are waiting for some more information and details about from the vendor about exactly what those contaminants will be. What I know is something that doesn't really mean anything to me in terms of, it's volatile organic compounds and particulates, which doesn't, as a layperson, I don't know really what that means. So, but that is the standard for what camp usually checks for. So more detail about exactly what that is something that we're waiting for more information about. And we will share that with you all when we have it. The question about the filings with DOB, I will ask DOB to help a little bit with that question. The contractor is actively in communication with the Department of Buildings about what is left to be required in terms of submitting documents. All of that will be done, and the stop work order will be lifted before the smokestack work begins. So if that is delayed for whatever reason, between the Department of Buildings and statewide, the work will not start until that is resolved. What I can say about the smokestack experience is, so we've spoken with both statewide and gotten information about their experience and the engineer's experience. And my understanding is both have some experience dealing with smokestacks of different heights. Obviously, there aren't that many that are as big as the smokestacks that we're talking about here, but they do have some experience with this. And again, I believe the Department of Buildings was clear that in our last meeting, and I unfortunately was not at the last meeting, but that there is no specific experience that is required. I also understand that the DOB has spoken with Mr. Hartman, who had some specific concerns and then some specific information about the smokestacks. I, again, was not part of that conversation, so not sure what exactly was discussed, but my understanding is, we are trying to take into consideration, into account, some information that is available on this, and some concerns, listening to the concerns of the community right there near the site, to try and make sure that we have as much information as we can when considering how this will proceed. So I would just ask Igal or Rosa or Sonia, if we have any more information about the DOB relevant questions, if you could just jump in.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. The Department of Buildings is in receipt of the plans for the full demolition from HPD and their vendor. We are reviewing those plans as we speak, and we will be finishing those reviews hopefully in the next week or so. And if we have any objections, certainly we will submit those objections to statewide and HPD, and we will have our back and forth as we need to based on that. The review and approval of the full demolition plans would be the last step in terms of lifting the stop work order associated with the demo for the chimneys. The site safety plan has been reviewed and approved. We have the name of the site safety manager. Once the full demo plans are approved, we will do a re-inspection at that time, and if everything looks good, we will lift the stop work order associated with the demo.
So I have a very short follow-up question, if I may.
Go ahead.
If it means that HPD and UB, of course, feel confident that there is no need to hire a company specializing in inspections and work on smokestacks, and the experience that you just mentioned of statewide demolition is more than enough, and you're not planning to do full inspection of the chimney, and you're confident that the current status of the chimney, it's good enough and it will support safe demolition of the chimneys. And I'm add to this question, do you have a full understanding of the type of contaminants inside the chimney already? Have you done some testing? Are you planning to share this information with us? And the other question, you just told us that you'll be already answered some questions to some of the CAG participants, to Skip specifically. My understanding was that this is a forum in which all the answers are going to be shared with everyone. Is it possible to share all these communications so we know what was the conversation about and the details? And can we have in the future everyone to be copied on all of the questions? Thank you.
I think, this forum is to make sure that we're sharing the information on what is going to be happening at the site with the community. And I think that is where we're trying to go with this conversation. If there are specific questions related to specific next steps, we're happy to provide that information.
All right, I'm going to move to the next attendee. Michael, I'm about to unmute you just 1 second. All right, Michael, try to unmute yourself really quick.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 quick questions. Relative to the Racket Club, which is, I think, probably of the closer proximities to this work. One, just which chimney will they be starting on first? That sort of is relevant to our location. They could start with the one a little further away and closer to the street. Might be just good practice. Secondly, air quality monitoring. Again, our proximity and the ventilation systems that we use to maintain the bubbles are obviously quite close to that. Having a better understanding of, kind of the timing of the monitoring, what the communication process is, so we can react and coordinate accordingly. Those would be two helpful things as the next closest neighbor.
Thanks, Michael. I will find out from them which chimney first. I don't know that level of detail, so I will ask and we can get back to you with that information. In terms of the camp monitoring, my understanding is the camp monitoring happens in real time. So if there should be any kind of identification of levels changing from the baseline level, the work will be stopped. And a remediation will be done. So there will be look-see about what is leading to the increase in whatever the level is. That will be addressed on site at that time. HPD will be aware of what's happening there, and should that happen, we will let you know as we can.
Thank you.
Can I just
All right.
add a quick point of clarification? So Anne Marie had said, gee, I'm not really sure what VOCs or PMs are. So I have my OSHA certification. Let me just try to say it in a sentence, just so we're all on the same page here. So particulate matter is basically like little specks of material. You see them in smoke. There are actually some that are smaller than that that you can't see. Largely, they cause problems in the respiratory system. So breathing, getting stuff in your lungs. And we see that with the air quality alerts, you know, and stuff like that. They're much worse though when you have a particular hazard that you're trying to maintain, and that's the reason why we have levels. The VOCs are different. I would say the only kind of particulate matter that's really hazardous, and that is asbestos. And asbestos has a way of sort of working its way and attaching to your lungs, and that's the reason why it's particularly hazardous compared to others, and that's why we take different precautions. The other would be VOCs. We all know this from going to the gas station and pumping gas. You're smelling VOCs at that point because you can smell the gas. There are a lot of chemicals that are like that. They don't all have the same effect. Many of them have long-term effects. And so we'll figure out, you know, what they are. I would say for the island as a whole, the particulate matter is probably more important because that just sort of sticks around and goes through, and that becomes part of the air quality. For the tennis bubble, though, I'm more concerned probably with the VOCs because they don't they disperse in, you know, larger spaces. I would say that's more of a problem, and we should pay attention to the air quality there. So if you can think all the things that give you cancer and all the other problems and crazy stuff like that, that's why we're in general worried about VOCs. Thank you. Just wanted to give a quick explanation. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. All right, Kaylin, I'm about to unmute you. 1 second. All right, Kaylin, try to unmute yourself now.
Thank you. So
Mhm.
I thank you, Anne-Marie, for your comments a moment ago, but I don't think that was an answer of any of my questions. Let me just make them a little bit shorter so it's easier to understand. So my first question, you promised us that you're going to give us 5 days notice before any work on the job site starts. Is that means that the September 21st is the expected start of the chimney demolition, and we are going to get 5 days notice before that to confirm? Second question again, has a certified chimney specialist performed a full class 2 hands-on inspection on the smokestacks? Just yes or no. And if no, are you planning to do this before September 21st? And just a second. Yes, about the full camp. Again, the one that you're going, HPD is going to commission. When is going to start? Who is going to be the vendor? How long is going to be? And what type of contaminants is going to cover? Thank you.
Okay, on your first question, yes, the intent would be to notify you around the 14th if work is going to start on the 21st. Again, this is still tentative depending on other factors, as I mentioned, so we're not at that point yet. In terms of the camp, we again will start it when before the smokestack opening work begins, and that date, these dates are tentative given other things that could happen in the meantime to slow the work down or speed the work up, but it will occur before the smokestack opening work starts, and it will end at the end of the demolition process, which it would include both the smokestacks and the building. The smokestacks were tested, I believe, specifically for asbestos, and there was no finding of asbestos in the smokestacks.
I'm
I
very
think that
sorry,
was-
but we know about the asbestos, but asbestos is one of the concerns. The others are these smokestacks have burned oil number 6 for 85 years. There is a residue on the interior, and as you mentioned, if you contractors have experience with smokestacks, they should know this. There is a residue of these chimneys that contains lead, PCB, volatile organic compounds, all kind of mercury, heavy metals, and the way that you're describing your plans to demolish it will disperse all these contaminants, and they will be in the air, and they will cover the entire Roosevelt Island and Upper East Side and Long Island City. So we know about the asbestos. What about everything else? What about the lead, the mercury, the PCBs, the heavy metals?
Anything that was required to be tested for has been tested for. We're following federal, state, local, city regulations related to the testing of the material. We will be, or our contractor will be engaged in appropriate site steps to mitigate any kind of dust dispersion in general. And again, that's going to be part of the plan, I believe, that gets submitted and approved by the Department of Buildings, and will be monitored by HPD's staff on site.
So again, if I understand correctly, you answer it. You did everything that you think you must do, and you're not planning to do any additional contaminants testing, and you're planning to mitigate for lead, for PCB, for heavy metals, for oil number 6 residue, and you just drop the bricks into the chimney from 240 feet down. Is this your plan? And what
Again,
about, are you planning to have specialized inspector, chimney inspector, to do full inspection of the chimneys? Are you confident personally? You just mentioned that you're a lay person. You're not supposed to be a lay person.
I am not. I am
Okay.
not a technical person. I am relying on the specialists who know the regulations that need to be followed when doing a demolition of any type. And I think that is our contractor's responsibility is to follow the requirements of the law, and our responsibility is to make sure that is done, as is, the Department of Buildings. If the plans are filed, the application is being very fully reviewed by the department, as you can tell, and we're going to make sure that this demolition occurs both as safely and as quickly as possible to mitigate any potential issues with the stack itself and the building.
All right, Kayla, I'm going to mute you for just 1 second. I just want to open up the floor. If there are any other organizations that wanted to ask a question, and if not, I'll give the floor back to you, Caitlin. I just want to make sure that if there's anyone else that had anything, that we're getting all the voices in this morning. Okay, I don't see any other hands. All right, Caitlin, 1 second. I'll give you back the floor. All right, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you. So I'm very apologies for asking the same question so many times, but maybe I'm not understanding your answers correctly. I didn't hear any response on my questions. Are you going to test the chimneys, or have you done it already for other contaminants, not just for asbestos? There are heavy metals, there is lead, there is PCB, there are so many, there is a residue for 85 years burning on number 6 inside this chimney. Are you going to address this or not? I understand you care about the requirements. Do you care about the kindergarten that's across the street and the residents on Roosevelt Island?
The
And
the
then-
camp that is in place, the purpose of doing that is to make sure that we are not creating additional contaminants for the community. I think that is something that will happen in real time. That is something, again, we are relying on the professionals who do that sort of work, that sort of monitoring work, to provide the guidance that the contractor needs to address any issues that should arise in the moment that that is determined. So I feel like I am answering your question. I understand
No,
your
so
question. I understand, the concern that the community has around this. And I think we are taking it extremely seriously.
Anne-Marie, the camp, it's not to prevent anything happening. The camp is just to monitor once something happened, to let us know and you that something is wrong, so measures can be investigated and hopefully taken. The question is, what can you do to prevent from anything happening? And what you have to do is do a full testing, environmental testing of the chimney, the residue, and the bricks, share with the community, and adjust your plans based on the results and the type of contaminants. And the other very important question that I asked about 4 times, have you done structural inspection, class 2 inspection of the chimneys or not? And are you planning to do it? Because if you start demolition without knowing what's the actual structural condition of the chimneys, and you claim that they're in a very bad shape, they may collapse during demolition. If they collapse uncontrolled during demolition, camp is not going to help anyone. So this is my question. Have you done this inspection? Are you planning to do it before starting any work on the chimneys? Thank you.
Again, I would say that the contractor is submitting plans to the Department of Buildings. If there are any concerns or any additional steps that the Department of Buildings will require, then the contractor will comply with those requirements.
And perhaps I can jump in here and maybe Yigal can speak a little bit about, while we are reviewing the plans, we can't speak specifically what, to the future, what will happen. But we do have a robust construction safety enforcement set of procedures, which do involve inspections. That is a standard part of the DOB oversight process.
All right, I'm gonna give the floor to Brigida from Assemblymember Seat Rights Office. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you for the informative session. I just had a question about the tennis bubble, which is right next to the steam plant. Is there a specific protection or environmental monitoring that has been placed to regulate or prevent the demolition's pollutants or contamination from reaching that bubble?
Thank you. Again, the camp that will be set up in a location so that we are making sure that we have the best, or our contractor has the best location, depending, I believe it depends on the wind and other factors. The professionals will know where to be set up. We understand the tennis bubble's concerns. I think we've had conversations before. I think statewide is aware of where the air intake is for the bubble. So we will, of course, do everything we can according to what the camp regiment calls for to make sure that we are keeping everyone's safety for first and foremost when doing this work.
All right, thank you for that. All right, I'm gonna go to Frank really quick and then back to Kaylin if no other organizations have questions. I see Skip. Actually, Frank, if it's okay, I'm going to go to Skip first. He said I had a chance to ask a question, then I'll come back. All right, Skip, 1 second. I'm about to give you access. All right, Skip, you should be able to unmute yourself. Hey, Skip,
Hello?
there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Kaylin's been very, very persistent. So I do, and Mike also, Mike Hartman, who, for the record, we work very closely together, but we're not related. At any rate, even though we have the same last name. The way I understand this, the buildings department has, as Rosa mentioned, you know, a lot of concern about the safety, and because there's an order halting everything until the plans are submitted, it's my understanding that the buildings department isn't going to let it go forward until they're satisfied that all the correct inspections have been done, but it's the burden of saying this is what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and when we're going to do it is on the contractor. So it's hard for the government people present to be more specific until they see what the contractor is planning to do to provide all the safety measures. So I'm satisfied that the buildings department is doing the best they can to be to understand the nature of the dangers here, and they're just waiting now for the contractor, who's had plenty of advance notice of the concerns as well. Yeah, they're just waiting for the contractor to show them how he's going to deal with these challenges. So my question is to, I guess, Rosa and Yigal, is this a reasonable understanding of the current situation?
I think, Skip, you got that right. We were just HPD and their vendor just submitted the full demo plans for review. I think it was in the last day or so. So we are in the process of going through those plans, going through those reviews. Again, we review the plans, the means and methods, the site safety. We ensure that the vendor has the necessary site professionals on site, the construction super, the site safety managers, and that all the necessary code requirements are in place.
And that would include any technical inspections necessary to develop the demolition plan, right? I mean, my understanding is that there has to be a thorough interior and exterior understanding of these two particular chimneys. It's before you can even develop a safety plan. So I assume all of that is part of the contractor's presentation that you're going to be reviewing.
Yeah, we would review the plans, all right, for the methods of the demo and for the demo aspects, and ensure that those plans, you know, meet all the code requirements, as I said. So any specific code requirements that we have in our construction safety chapter 33, we make sure that all of those requirements are met.
Thank you.
Thanks, Skip. All right, Frank, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you. So since Rear has been through this before, let me just add a little bit of knowledge here for everyone. So when we're doing air quality sampling, the goal here is to have some measurement points that, in theory, you could measure air quality, you know, every 2 feet. And obviously, you'd get a lot of data, and that would be very expensive to do. The whole purpose of the sampling aspect is to choose a smaller set of measurement points that is still representative of the air quality as a whole. Okay, that will be dependent upon things like the way the wind flows, the structures surrounding things. We all know this from setting up smoke detectors in our homes and apartments, right? We don't put them in the corner of the room because the air flows around that and therefore won't detect the smoke. So there's proper placement and proper spacing on that, which will determine from the site. One of the things I am concerned about, though, is that there are points that would be of significance where we'd want to know the air quality, and I would say that would be right by the air intake near the tennis bubble. I think that's clearly a place where we have to have monitoring, because if there is an issue, then the reaction to that needs to be fairly quickly, and it's a concentrated area, unlike the outdoors, which the air just disperses. So I'm concerned that we get the proper air monitoring for the tennis bubble. But overall, we've been through this before, and like I said, the goal is to have the right number of measurement points. It's not one point, right number of measurement points that produces data that's representative of every spot on the site as a whole. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. All right. Are there any organizations that haven't spoken yet? If not, I will give the floor back to Kaylin, but I just want to make sure that we're getting everyone's voices heard this morning. If you have questions, leave it up for just one more second. All right, Kaylin, I'm about to give you access one moment. All right, Kaylin, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yep, thank you. There you go. So let me ask the same questions directly to you. Maybe you can help. DOB is one of the agencies that is controlling this process. What about the Department of Environmental Protection regarding all the contaminants? Again, everyone is talking about asbestos, but what about the rest of the contaminants? Do you know if this was tested or not? And if full test is gonna be made, and based on the results, mitigation plan will be developed? And then going to DOB and the structural condition of the chimneys. Does DOB has a full class 2 inspection of these chimneys already performed, or are you planning to request such an inspection from HPD? So the actual structural condition of the chimneys at the moment is known. I mean, we have been made to believe that these chimneys are in very dangerous conditions and they can fall down at any moment. So are you planning to do this kind of inspection? Are you going to share the result with us? Thank you.
Again, we just got the full demo plans and the applications, I think yesterday or earlier today. Our dedicated team of plan examiners that review site safety plans and demo plans. This is what they specialize in. They will review all the plans and ensure that all the plans meet the code requirements. So that is something that we are actively doing right now. With regards to other agencies, DEP or otherwise, I can't speak to that regard. But all necessary requirements from the building code standpoint, we will ensure that those are complied with.
Can you share a little bit more about the safety measures that will be taken so no bricks will fly from the top of the chimney over the tennis bubble? Can you actually see the full means and methods, the safety plans?
I don't know the specifics. Again, we have a dedicated team of plan examiners that they review site safety plans, they review demo plans. This is what they do for the department day in and day out. They will review all of those plans and make sure that they submit. Everything submitted is code compliant.
And are you going to share any of this information with the public?
That is not from the apartment building standpoint, that's not something that, with regards to the sharing of the plans, that is not something that we normally do. We submit with regards to the information, we have on our public portal access to the job applications and the information associated with the job applications, who the professionals are that are submitting the job applications, but the specific plans are not shared normally.
So maybe Anne-Marie can help and answer this. Is HPD planning to share more detailed information about the safety measures, safety plans, means and methods, how the public will be protected? Are you going to monitor for anything and test for anything else other than asbestos? The community is really concerned. We understand your position is the fastest way for you to move ahead. But community is very concerned. There is a kindergarten across the street. There are residential buildings across the street. There is the tennis bubble. I stopped my daughter from going to a tennis summer camp this summer because of my concerns of what's going on with the steam plant. So what HPD can do to share more information with the community and help us feel like someone is listening to us, someone wants to have an actual conversation and engagement and help us feel safer.
Thank you. And I'm sorry that you don't feel that us having these meetings is actually attempting to do just that. I think, we did hear from the community. We have been meeting with you to provide information as we go along, and we're committed to continuing to do that. We heard from at the last meeting that I was at, which was the first, I guess, CAG meeting, from many of your different community organizations, the daycare, the senior center, I think, on that call. And we're certainly committed to continuing to provide information about the next steps. So we will continue to provide look ahead. We will continue to meet with you as we move into the demolition phase and provide appropriate details as we get to each phase of the project.
All right, I'm going to give the floor to Prajita from Assemblymember Seawright's office. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi again. Thank you once again for your work and answering our questions. This is just a future discussion question. We receive a lot of questions regarding what's the plan after the demolition or the cleanup. Will the community have an opportunity to participate in a decision or a discussion regarding the future use, or there is an idea, what do you want to do with it?
I think I would defer that question to the REOC team. This team from HPD is really focused only on the demolition and the demolition phase. So I can't speak to that question.
Yeah, and to your question, Prajita, I don't have the answer for that, and I don't want to tell this group wrong. So I will find out if there is anything that anyone has floated around or discussed. I have not personally heard it. So again, I just don't want to, speak out of turn, but I will circle back with this group and let everyone know if there's something that has been planned.
Thank you so much.
Sure. All right, we have time for one more question. Is there anyone else who has not gone? If not, I'll give it to Kaylin, but I just wanted to make sure if anyone else had a question this morning that they had a chance to be heard. All right, Kaylin, time for you can ask one more quick question. Should be able to unmute.
I just want to try to partially answer the question of Prajita about future plans. There is an online press release of Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams at the time from November 14, 2025, and also one by Mayor Adams at the same date, and also one by EDC, that are announcing the 10 years extension of the lease of Roosevelt Island. And part of this deal was the demolition of the steam plant in order to build more housing on the site. So this is what the governor and the city announced at this time. After that, for some reason, they decided to split the two things and they don't want to connect them anymore. But I agree, we really want to know what are the plans and why RIOC, HPD, and the city are separating the two issues. The community believes that this building can serve better our community if it's preserved and remediated and adaptively reused. This is the smarter way, and community has a lot of needs. No one wants to listen what we really need. So,
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I accidentally hit the button here, Caleb. 1 second. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. You can continue. My finger slipped. You should be on mute. Kayla, you can unmute. I'm sorry.
sorry about that. I just wanted to very briefly say that so far these CAG meetings are disappointing in terms of we're not receiving the answers of the questions that are really concerning us. And we really hope that the actual conversation, actual discussion will start. It's not too late. Building is still standing. We have time. There is nothing urgent to demolish it. There is time to sit down and start a meaningful conversation. What's the best use of this building? What really the community needs, and how to go ahead together. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move back over to Brigida from Assembly Member Seawright's office for our last question. Brigida, you should be able to unmute.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to not raise my hand. Sorry.
All good. Did you have another question, or you just had your hand up? Okay,
I
got
just
it.
had my hand up, sorry.
No, all good. All right, we are also at time right now, so thank you to everyone who participated today for your feedback. Like I said, I will give the updates on the re-up question that I have that I can answer. Any other further questions on the demolition, please direct those to the ridemolition@hbd.nyc.gov email. And if you have questions that you feel like you haven't had answered, please resubmit those to that email address as well, and the HBD team and DOB teams can go through those. And if there's anything else that is regarded as a re-up question, feel free to send that to me as well. I want to make sure everyone feels heard. But again, thank you everyone so much for your participation and time today. And we will see you all next month on the third Wednesday, third Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m. But thank you all.